and I want to open up the floor, but one question I have to ask, because this is always a big preoccupation in Europe, is about, when we talk about migration, you've been talking about migration within Africa. Of course, one of the big questions for Europeans is, what about migrations from Africa into Europe? With these kinds of demographic pressures, is the continent going to be growing fast enough and empty enough to accommodate this new population, or is in fact this population going to be coming north across the 7 nautical miles?
So Michel, go on.
By the way, I'm very happy that I'm being seen as an Afro-optimist. I'm happy today to have somebody who is even more optimist than I am, so I can play the pessimistic. We have found our differentiation. I'm going now to play on the pessimist side, and Lionel will do on the optimistic side. As far as migration is concerned, the reality is that domestic migrations within the continent will be vastly more important than migrations from the continent to other continents, including Europe. And it's hard, of course, to predict what may happen, but one possible scenario is that the percentage of the population willing to migrate towards other continents, including Europe, is going to remain about the same or may decrease. But even the magics of the relationship between relative numbers and absolute numbers will lead, even with a decline in the proportion of Africans willing to migrate to Europe, with an absolute increase, a big increase in migration coming from sub-Saharan Africa. And I mean, there's nothing wrong about it. This is the way a world of 9 billion people is going to be built, with a stronger presence of people from other continents on the soil. But definitely, it will create challenges for Europe, and the challenges will be also opportunities, because we need, as an aging continent, flow of population from other continents. So this is one of the reasons, because I would put it very straight. I think that our government's policy in France is just completely wrong in terms of migration, and it's taking exactly all the wrong decisions on about every front about the management of the migration challenge, including the way it is being explained to the French population. So demagogics are playing an important role there, but I think it's a very important responsibility. Now, just to finish on that point, one of the I agree with Lionel that challenges for Africa in terms of managing population and population growth are not new. They have been handled more or less in the past decades, but the pressure is going to increase further. The magnitude of the challenge is going to be even higher. And if you're optimistic about mankind, you say, hence, they will be, those major challenges will be handled. Now, it's going to be tough. Let me just highlight, and I will end with that, one single example. Niger's population is about now 17 million people, and as everybody knows, Niger is a very large country, but where only a very small part of the country can be inhabited so far. According to the current demographics of Niger, with a very, which unfortunately experiences a 3.5 demographic growth rate right now, still. They will be, Niger's population will probably peak at something between 40 or 45 million people within the forthcoming decades. And it's just unthinkable that you will have 40 or 50 million people in Niger. You will probably have half of them. And it means that you will have about 30 million people on the road from Niger. down to South Africa, down to the coast of Benin, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and so forth. And if you remember that the shock between migrants and local people have been at the root of the Ivorian crisis, that migrations are also at the root of the political difficulties Kenya has faced in the past years, you can imagine that this will be a major cause for instability. But you will have the same type of features coming from many Sahelian countries down to the coast of the Gulf of Guinea. And my perception is that if ever these problems have been more or less managed in past years, they will reach a level of intensity that will have to spur new types of cooperation within countries in the regions. And well, there's some likelihood that instability will also get out of this type of structural trend.
I really apologize. I've been a terrible moderator here. I've got this thing flashing in my face that says, time's up, time's up, time's up. So I'm afraid that if you want to ask questions, you're welcome to come up here and ask them, or we could go on and infringe on your lunchtime a little bit, or before you make the migration to the lunch area. But I think we have to thank you both, Lionel and Jean-Michel, for a terrific presentation and for hearing so much optimism about Africa.